I'm going to mute you guys for a second. So remember, you're muted. All right. How's it going, everyone? Welcome. Welcome to the sweep. We're going to get started here in about a minute. All right, let's go ahead and get going. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. And as usual, like, share, and follow on social media, facebook.com/daytradesmart, instagram.com/daytradesmart, and the number 1, youtube.com/the proving ground, which is obviously where we're watching this session right now, rumble.com/daytradesmart, and of course, tiktok.com/daytradesmart. And here's our email. All right, guys, got something special for you guys today. We've got a special guest, and this is Jared. We call him Jared the Jedi Johnson, and I'm going to bring him in here. Let me unmute you, Jared, or I'll ask you to unmute. All right.
You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Awesome.
Yeah, good.
All right, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing excellent. How'd the week close out for you?
Good, really good. We were 7 of 8 today, so it was actually really good. Yep.
Solid, man. Solid.
Day.
So Jared is actually one of our coaches. He's a pro day trader and executive trading consultant. And so when people go through our trading program, Jared's actually one that has gone through our program, was successful at day trading, has a heart for teaching, and as a result agreed to be one of our coaches to teach our new students that come into our next level of coaching, and get them to a place where he helps you create a trade strategy that's best for you, right? Based on your risk appetite, your personality, all the things that we've talked about in these sessions. And then teaches you things like back testing, money management, risk to reward, all that good stuff. So that way, by the time you're done with Jared, you go out into the market with a funded account, corporate funded account, and you start trading with real money. So that's what Jared does for us. And obviously for himself, he's a professional day trader. So I'm just going to, obviously I know the answers to a lot of these questions, Jared, but I'm going to ask you these just for the sake of our audience here. In terms of the length that you've been day trading, how long have you been day trading?
Yeah, so I started in December of 2016, so just about 4.5 years. Nice.
4.5 years. And between, within that time, how long did it take you to get to a point where, when we approached you, you took us up on becoming a coach?
Yeah, so let's see. So I think I was actually in trading for about 1.5 years before I was asked to become a coach, mainly because I think they saw that I had both really positive days and great, I was striving in the right direction. And then also, though, they saw the early beginnings, all my struggles.
Nice.
It felt like I could probably help steer people away from kind of the pitfalls that I figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. And I think if we don't have those types of failures, or we don't learn anything from those failures, they end up just revisiting us and haunting us, and it really stops our growth. But fortunately for us, you're great at what you do. And you've gone through a lot of those things, so you can empathize and you can see where traders are at. And I think it really benefits when you approach someone, especially in those early stages, week 3, week 4, when now they've got their trade setups, they're putting in demo account trades, and they're hitting those brick walls. And it's like, look, I've been there. I know how you feel. I know where you're at. So that's awesome. But now, had you ever traded prior to coming to our organization?
No, not at all. Actually, I was a proud union worker. No, I was all about the 40-hour-a-week job. I had no idea what a PIP was. I didn't know the Forex market existed. I saw that little extra digit on gas station pumps, and I thought it was a ripoff. It was fake money. but no, so no, I had no idea what trading was at the time. I mean, obviously you hear the stock market and that kind of stuff, but the Forex market itself, no, it was all brand new to me.
That's awesome. You know, what's really cool about a lot of our coaches, I would say most of our coaches, I think we only have a few that had traded prior to coming to our organization, which is really cool. I think some of the struggles that we have with individuals that already trade is that, you know, they've got some, perhaps have some bad habits, where people that just, you know, maybe have traded a little bit, dabbled a little bit, or know nothing, usually make the best students. I mean, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, there's just, you know, not a lot of hurdles to overcome with regard to, like, you know, bad habits. And what's interesting is we find that, and I'm sure you can empathize with this, we find that those things that existing traders hang on to are the very things that are causing for them to lose in the market,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they get caught up on things that didn't get them to where they wanted to be in the first place. That's why they were looking for other options.
yeah,
And it's just that crazy ex-friend or girlfriend or spouse or whatever, right? That really got you nowhere, and there's a reason why you left in the first place. And so it's nice when people don't have a lot of experience, is because yeah, it's a blank slate. We just, hey, do these simple steps, and then it's our jobs as human beings to try to keep it simple. We
yeah.
tend to want to overcomplicate things, and one thing I've learned from you is it doesn't have to be hard. This
Yeah.
can be the easiest thing in the world if you just let it be.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Yeah, most definitely. That's awesome. So in with your approach, with your personal approach, and obviously sometimes I think our coaching gets directed in that way when we have a preference. So would you say you prefer more of like the scalp or like the, you know, buy and hold type trades? What kind of trades do you prefer?
Yeah, in the Forex market, I really prefer kind of the in and out method. Just get in, get out, almost like a sniper. You know, you're waiting for that what you consider a perfect opportune moment, and then let math take over, right? As long as we can execute on those things and we get to see them every single day, execute it and walk away. I'm a huge fan of that. And because I know my weak falls, right, is I'll sit there and keep going for hours, right? And it's hard for me
Yeah.
to stay focused for hours.
Yeah.
So I really like the in and out, get it. And then two, as I grow the account that way, I get to increase my risk based on percentages. So, and I don't have to worry about news announcements as often, right?
Right.
So there's great things like that, getting in and getting out, no safer place for your money to be than pocketed in your account after you win.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, when you look at it that way, I mean, you can get the same amount of pips, let's say in one trade, you know, for say 50 pips, or you can take, you know, 10 5 pip trades. Well, those 10 5 pip trades are likely to be worth more because you can compound incrementally after each trade.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the beauty part about what we get to do as traders is we get to dictate how much that's worth in the open market. We get to
Right.
not only dictate how much we can potentially earn that particular day, but how much we get to risk that day, which is something that on the open market you don't really get to be in control of.
Right.
And we get to set
Absolutely.
those parameters, which is again another huge benefit to doing this.
Most definitely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, with and that's one of the other things, one of the other hurdles that we end up having to overcome with, you know, and even with new members is breaking that concept that, you know, more movement is worth more dollars or a higher win percentage is worth more dollars. Really, it's all relative to your risk percentage, you know, your risk to reward, right? I mean, you can make the same in 1 pip as you can 1,000 pips. You can make
Right.
the same or more in 70% win percentage as you can in 90%. You know, so it all just becomes really relative. So, you know, I think it's valuable that, you know, especially with approaches that guys like you take, where it's like, look, there's all this exponential compounding value
Yeah.
in taking a scalp trade, and none of it is relevant to making more or less by way of getting more pips, right? I don't have to get all this movement, and like you were saying, I don't have to be at risk of you know, announcements, or, you know, back when Trump was in office, sometimes he'd send out a tweet and send the market just, and nobody knew
Yeah.
that was going to
Yeah.
happen. You know,
Yeah.
nobody knew he was going to tweet,
Yeah.
right?
we live in
Yeah.
a different era nowadays, right? Where
Yeah.
social media just takes over. So there's a lot of emotional people out there, and there's no better than just being in and out and moving on with our lives. And that's, and that's the thing. We can keep it very simple like that, and it's almost as, going back to learning and leaving old habits, it's almost leaving the fact that you got to work 40 hours a week to be successful in life.
Right.
Right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of work.
Minimum, right? 40 hours
Yeah,
minimum.
minimum. Yeah, that's right. Right. And now we teach, hey, you can make more by doing less. Now there's a lot of work behind the scenes that we get to talk about, right?
Yep.
But as
Yep.
far as the open market is concerned, no, if with the right money management, I think it's Einstein that said compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Right?
Right.
And we get
Yep.
to play a little bit of part of that by trading and being in control of what we're putting out there in the market somewhat, right? At least risk and reward type.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just talking to a guy today, and I was asking him, why are you doing this? Why are you interested in trading? And he says, he went right to it. He's just like, I want, some people, I'm just curious about it, or, I want to make money. Okay, well, that's fine, but what do you want to do with that money, right? But he went
Yeah.
right to it. He says, I want freedom. I want to be able to decide when I make money, how much I make, and not have somebody tell me that I'm capped at this, or I need to
Right.
show up at this time. I just want freedom,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. I mean, and that's the beauty. Now it might take some time and everyone's different, but it's achievable,
Yep.
right? I mean, I don't care. This is the most unbiased profession on the planet. I mean, it's for everybody and anybody. The market doesn't care who you are, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
so we just get to follow simple rules. And if we can keep things basic and simple and a little bit every day really does compound over time. And sometimes less is a whole lot more.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, in terms of the markets that you trade, what markets do you trade? What markets do you like?
Yeah, I would say primarily 90% of my trades are in the Euro USD. So Euro versus the dollar.
Nice.
Probably 10 to 20% roughly, if I broke it down, in the British pound dollar. Those are
Nice.
the two I trade primarily in the morning. Works better for really my life schedule with my family and kids and such.
Yep.
However, there's multiple pairs, and that's the best part of this. Like, we don't have to be married to just one thing. We can
Right.
spread that out with multiple ones. But the ones I tend to go back to all the time is the Euro USD and the pound USD.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I've got four that I trade on most often, but I'm the same. Euro USD is usually my go-to. I'd say there was a time where it was like almost 100% all Euro USD.
Yeah.
But just for the sake of diversifying, to different currency pairs. But I would say, Euro USD, GBP JPY, GBP USD, USD JPY. Those are my go-tos. Those are the ones that 100% of my trades are going in there. But yeah, I could totally agree. So, going back for a moment to making the decision to become a coach, what made you decide to take that step?
Yeah. Well, I was hesitant at first, to be honest, right? Because I did have some pitfalls along the way. And, I thought that every coach was a multimillionaire, doing it from a yacht or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was really kind of like hesitant to become it. But really, when they broke it down to me and be like, look, you understand the indicators and you have a relatable story because of your struggles.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And so I kind of started off part-time just to kind of feel it out, see if I would like it, see if, students would like to my style of coaching. I've done some personal development along the way, right? To get better in life because, during 2008, 2009, people had to reinvent themselves in a lot of
Yep.
ways. As much as I loved my union job and we kind of coasted through that big recession, I knew that the writing was on the wall eventually.
Yep.
So, when I got into this and then had those problems and then started to have great success, I was a little nervous to kind of share. But then once they, kind of broke it down to me, like, you know what, your story resonates with people, right?
Yep.
People don't just always just hit it out of the ballpark first day. And
Right.
some do, which is awesome, right? I don't want to
Mhm.
hold them back, but I felt like I could help people avoid some of the pitfalls. and avoid trying to over complex something that should be just very basic.
Yeah.
I have very basic computer skills. I worked on machinery prior to this. So it doesn't take, someone with a computer doctorate degree to do something like this, or a finance degree, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like I could be a little bit more relatable to some people who were a little bit hesitant. So that got me into it, and then later became full-time as the company, as kind of took off, and we were getting busier and busier. And then I was full-time for about a year and a half, and then started to come into in-person coaching. Again, just like you talked about earlier, where people get to come in, we get to sit down one-on-one, and for 2 straight days, 16 hours, to go through their plan and their business plan and their trade plan, and kind of tweak it. I have a gentleman here today, actually from California, that we've been going over the last 2 days. So it's outstanding. And that's kind of, and to see that change, and even though I can't take credit, for people's success or failures, I love being just a small part in those success plans.
Yeah.
Right? It's just helping them maybe right the ship just a little bit. That sometimes takes someone who's been there to kind of help people stay away from those cliffs, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. The Jedi taking on his Padawans. Yeah, no, and you're right, and that's a lot of the feedback that we get, that it's relatable, right? Because like you said, when the perception might be that, the guys that are doing well at day trading, doing it for a living, making good money, they're off in a yacht somewhere. That's just the perception. I can't relate to them. There's no connection between me and them, and they've got a certain something about them that makes them that way. And I may not have that, when really that's not the truth. The truth of the matter is that, we're regular people, we've had very similar struggles. And like you, I mean, man, there isn't a mistake that I didn't make, when I was first getting started. I did it all. I messed it up at least 2 or 3 times, right? Because I'm hard-headed. So it's like, I gotta make the mistake
Right.
multiple times.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
show you
absolutely.
5 ways not to do it 10
Yeah.
times over. Right.
That's right. Exactly. So, really quickly, in a nutshell, tell us about your overall experience with Day Trade Smarts program.
Yeah, this is life changing. I even though I was a proud union worker, I had 2 jobs my entire adult life. And I tell everyone that walks in my door, I was just above broke for 10, 15 years all the time. I mean, we didn't starve, don't get me wrong, right?
Yeah.
But we were just over broke, always. COVID would have destroyed our lives,
Yeah,
right?
I bet.
And so getting involved with you and Tim, it was life changing, and I can't thank you guys enough, because now I work one job, and people ask, well, why do you still coach? I don't need to coach.
Right.
But we're not moving anytime soon, and I want to continue to give back while I'm here. I love doing this now, right? I mean, I have one job, I trade just for about half hour to an hour in the morning period, and then I get to help people change their lives. And Day Trade Smart is the thing that got me started, period. And I saw, it gave me hope in a really rough time, and I sold everything to do this. I did whatever it took to do it. I had to sell my big Jeep and, buy a little Jeep Patriot. We had to downsize but we made it work, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't, like I said, we were just over broke. When people talk to me about it, it's just like, we made it work though, because we saw what it could do, and it's fulfilled on every promise and then some. And I had to do a lot of work, but you and Tim have always had an open door for me, always. I mean, I used to come sit in your office and listen to your calls just to pick up on what I was missing. And you guys are instrumental in everything that's happened to me and my family since. So it's huge.
Well, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate that. And it's our pleasure. We love being able to provide something that is life-changing for people, that's making a difference. We're not, I'm sure toilet paper does the same thing, but I feel better about this than selling toilet paper. Well, I appreciate it. That's awesome. And so what we're going to do is we're going to move to our next segment, which is Trade of the Week. So every week, Jared, we do a Trade of the Week. And of course, this week, I've asked you to do that. So here is your introduction.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, my #1 trophy on my desk is a lifesaver you guys gave me. It's right behind me, actually.
Nice. I like it. Yes. That's awesome. So I'm going to pass you the controls here so that you can take and share your screen and show us the trade setup that you have for us today. So I'm going to make you the host, or actually, I just got to share this. You'd think I've done this before. Let's see. I think I do need to make you the host.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Now
I'm the
you
host.
should be able to share your screen.
Okay, you see my screen?
Solid. Yes. All right.
Okay. Awesome. So this was one of the trades we actually took this morning. I'm going to just kind of walk you through what I look for. Okay. Now, I know we're on YouTube and on a webinar, so I'm not quite sure how much everyone knows and what have you, but I'm just going to kind of simply walk through a couple of highlights just so you're kind of caught up to what I'm looking for. Okay, up here on top, these are called TNTs. You have 2 oranges and 2 blues. Okay, you have our major minor lines, they're right here in the middle, and then this bottom 2 lines are considered pressure. Okay, and what I'm primarily looking for, these 2 charts, this is a 30-minute and this is a 10-minute, to line up. A lot of similarities. I want them to almost look the same. And then my entry, kind of the trigger that I use is this is called the clean pressure chart. And I'm looking for kind of like this candle here where it kind of started below and busted through. Now we missed this one, so I'm just going to continue to move on. Now, one thing I do want to emphasize, I love unity, right? I love things to line up. And a couple of key points to my trade plan is this little thin orange over here on my left has to line up with this green line right below it down here. These have to agree. Now you'll notice that they currently disagree, right? This green orange is up, or sorry, green, this green line is up. And this thin orange is down, right? So that tells me right off the bat, I probably wouldn't be doing much anyways until they can agree on what direction they want to go. And likewise, when they do that, I want to make sure that this thin orange, this green, and this green are somewhat in relation to that agreeing as well. So if you kind of break it down to very basic, simple terms, I'm more or less waiting for what I would call 6 points to somewhat line up, and then this very simple entry chart over here. So we're just going to skip through 2 minutes at a time. And right about 7:40-ish Utah time, this candle right here broke through. And you'll notice that now my oranges are pointing down. My majors and minors are both pointing down on both charts and both charts, right? And this pressure is starting to what we call roll over or diverge is another term we call it. And right here is where my simple entry was. I started above this clean pressure. It went right below. That right there told me go ahead and take that trade. And I'm very simple. There's a thing called pips, which I had no idea what a pip was or a point. That's just a decimal point of a penny, believe it or not. And on this particular trade, that value of what a pip is all relative to your account and your lot size, which is awesome. Because we don't ask people to do more to make more. You can simply increase your lot size to make more and do the same amount of work, which is huge. And right here, I had a 3.5 pip stop loss and a 3.5 pip take profit right down here. Or in other words, they call it 34 points or 34 points or pips. So right there was my setup right there. Everything you see right there is what I was looking for. Oranges to agree, greens to agree, pressure rolling over. And that trade took a minute. It pulled back and then right down in my favor, and there it hit a 1-to-1. Now, when I say 1-to-1, the beauty about that is I was willing to make the same amount of money as I was going to risk. That's huge. I don't care if it was $1 and $1 or $10 and $10 or 10,000 and 10,000. It doesn't matter. I was risking right there of 34 points, but my goal was also 34 points, right? And again, what made the value was how much I got to decide was worth. Now, a little bit later after that, kind of got to wait, right? It popped up, but notice how everything's still primarily pointing down. So I'm just waiting for another opportunity for everything to point down in my favor. And right there, it gave me another opportunity. Yeah, right at 8 o'clock, I think it was. And it just simply gave me another opportunity where I was risking about the same again, about 34 and 34. And this one wins fairly quick. It actually hit that 34 relatively quick right down there with spread. I think I got in a little bit quicker than that. But it was a very simple trade. It's very easy to wait for those things to line up and just simply go forward and wait for those great opportunities. For a buy, sorry. Let me get back to, oh, that's not it. Let me get to another opportunity. Right here was the buy that we took. Same idea, right? You got the thin orange up, thick orange up. Majors and minors agree. Pressure is now pointing up on all bull charts. Very good unity there. So again, just a very basic buy. I think that was it. And there we won right there. That one we cut in half. We didn't go for the whole amount because we had this drawback, right? The drawback caused me to move my stop loss down to what we call a 2-to-1, and then which allowed us to win that trade, believe it or not, and rather than losing that trade. Did come back up. And then here was our last trade that we took that hour. Same thing. If you notice, everything was back down again. And right there, we re-entered. And this one kind of ran for a minute, but we closed it out again for about 4.5 this time. So we had a 4.5, 4.5. And this one won in basically record time. I mean, it was literally like 30 seconds. We were in and out of that trade, no problem. So those are just the basic setups. I'm just waiting for these thin oranges to line up, the green majors to line up, and then the pressure to give me some sort of sell or buy position. And then one thing people fail to remember with my trade plan primarily is 50% of why I'm taking the trade is simply right here, right? But the other 50 is right now, right? This part right here. I'm waiting for this entry that we saw right there. And you can see, well, it's pointing down, and I totally respect it and I understand it. But I love this breakthrough because it gives me all this for potential growth to let winners continue to win versus just barely getting in at the very tail end of it. So it's a much better way to try to just let the market breathe and then look for these little entries to get back into the market. And just like we talked earlier, compound that lot size if you choose to, and then it wins pretty easy. So those are just a couple of trades that we took today with my student here just at the office. So each one,
nice.
I mean, it was quite awesome actually.
What I really like about this is that a lot of times when, especially new people, when they look at our indicators, they look complicated, you know, but when we break it down to a really systematic type trade, it simplifies it,
yeah.
Right? And so what's nice is that a lot of the setups that we've been going over are like single chart setups, right? We're just using one chart. But this is a great example of using multiple charts, you know, 2 with the 3 core indicators and then 1 with a clean pressure, and still very simple, right? Look, is everything pointed in the same direction on these other charts? All right, good, that lines up. Okay, now let's just wait for our entry when we actually push the button, and that goes right down to 2 minutes. So you got opportunities within that time on those, you know, on those 2 minutes. or vice versa. You see it on the 2 minute, and then you check in your other charts to make sure that everything's lined up. I mean, that's something that you can teach to a third grader, you know, and yeah, and it you know, you've got 3 charts, and it looks like there's a whole bunch going on, but really when you break it down, it is very logical in with regards to, okay, we wanted to be pointing this direction, logically accept that and say, okay, it's pointed up, so we're looking for a buy trade. So it's simple to go to a clean pressure, or even vice versa and say, okay, you know, green candle just popped above in clean pressure, and now we're looking at these other charts to all point up.
Right.
So that's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, the more charts that you see here, you know, the fewer of the indicators I actually really focus on, right? If I had one chart, you bet I would be paying attention to both blues, both oranges, majors and minors, and pressure. But where we got friends, I can kind of just zone in on a couple of the more, I guess, momentum style of indicators that kind of represent a lot of momentum in the market, and really just hone in on, once they line up, that's really good affirmation that it's going to continue in that direction. Is it 100%? No, absolutely not. Right?
Yeah, nothing is.
Nothing is, right?
Yeah.
But we can get a little better along the way with a little bit of patience, and then wait for unity with just a helping hand, right? I mean, we have a nice chart that we kind of focus on, but we got one to the left and one to the right, just to kind of help focus on unity in that direction. So if there's ever a time where they somewhat disagree, you know, this was kind of a half hour where my 30-minute over here, see how my majors were pointing up, but my thin orange was kind of pointing down, right? I just kind of stayed out of it for about a half an hour. And then, and then right at the end, right about 10 o'clock, we had this awesome buy signal. Again, just unity going up, up. You just get more power behind that. And this trade, again, didn't have to risk very much to get a great reward out of that trade. I mean, it just continues for the next hour in that direction. Right. And so just breaking it down to a couple of key points with a few charts, that's why I kind of like, you know, kind of a 3-chart system. So it just gives me a little bit more of a bird's eye view of what is potential over the next half hour to an hour or so in my trade plan. Right.
Nice. I like that. How do you feel like your students resonate with this? Do you feel like they catch on pretty quickly? They do pretty well with it?
Yeah, I got one right here who just gave me the thumbs up.
How's it go? Awesome. Awesome.
So yeah, I think so, because, you know, again, I think we try to make it more complicated than we need to.
Yeah.
I was just looking for a couple of key points pointing up in the right entry, and again, very simple. I mean, that was our day. We literally, you know, these were all possible setups for everyone to look at today. Right? I mean, they're possible setups, and this happens every morning, and, you know, every night, depending on your work schedule. There's, again, great currency pairs around the clock that people can look at.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, so we got to spend the last 2 days really just more or less simplifying his process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. We just simplified it. It doesn't have to be hard, you know, and I kind of joked around. We talked about sports earlier, but anyone that, you know, has been around sports or anything like that, when you're struggling in life, they talk about going back to basics. You know, when you're struggling in trading, go back to basics. What we're trying to teach people are just very fundamental things that anyone could follow. Like you said, a 3rd grader can see that lines are pointing in one direction and when to take a trade.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like that 1-to-1. I mean, because, you know, I mean, most of our setups, if not definitely the vast majority of them, I mean, we're at 70, 80, 90%. So you figure at 70% with a 1-to-1 risk to reward, and even risking just 2% on something like that, that's a double up, conservatively a double up every month and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, once you learn how to walk away, that 70 gets to 90 really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Even if you don't, you're absolutely right. You're talking 6 weeks just based on pure math.
Yep.
Right. take yourself out of it and just execute the trades and let the math take over. That's the beauty, right?
Absolutely.
And I tell everyone, go pull up double a penny every day. Again, when you first get started, you're not bragging about 3 cents, I promise.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But with the power of what we have with lot sizes, we get to then change that same movement to $3, to $30, to 300, to 3,000, right?
Yep.
And if you go look at that double in a penny every day and see what happens, it takes a while for it to actually even break 5 figures. But then all of a sudden you're at 8 figures in no time.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I feel like we're just kind of getting that ball rolling. But once we get it, it's magic. And that's what kept me going, where I thought I was supposed to be successful and I just wasn't, because I knew once I got it, it was magic. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what this opportunity gives people, is just a tool to make an educated decision on a lot of money movement.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, that was cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that really is the advantage in Forex specifically, right? Because there's a lot of markets where you can't incrementalize your growth, right? You've got it, like, let's say for futures, for example, it's 1 contract or 2 contracts or 3. You can't go like 1 1/10 contract or 1 1/2 contract, right? And so the compounding is not as aggressive as it is with Forex. With Forex, it's like after a certain point, after every trade, your lot size is increasing, right? Because it's a percentage of your account, and so you're able to just compound it so much faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
So take the pips out of it and just think of setups, right? You just need setups because the math will take care of itself.
Yep.
If you plug those numbers in. And that was something that was really hard for me to learn. I just thought I needed to do more and more and more, right? And it's hard. It's hard for anybody to win 10 straight trades in a day, right? It's hard, right?
Right.
So I was putting way too much effort, but once I understood money management, I could earn the same amount in 1 to 2 trades as what I was really trying to go for in 25 trades.
Yeah.
And once I understood that power of what we had at our fingertips, it really turned the corner for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a 24/5 market, I mean, there's just so much about the Forex that, I mean, when we've gone to these international traders expos, even people that were there that were selling options programs or introducing stock programs or other types of, day trading investment type things, all of them personally traded Forex. It's like, well, you're here, you're boasting about, your ETFs or whatever, but you trade mostly Forex, right? It's just hard to not. It's you're talking about $6 trillion a day exchanging hands, and the Euro US 1/3 of that, is it's huge.
Right. And I always kind of say, we just want to get ran over by that money train.
Yeah, right.
Yep. If we understand how to position ourselves, we have a really good chance of 1/3 of that. So you're talking $2 trillion roughly that we just get ran over by. And that's okay, right? Hey,
I'm all right with that.
I'm okay with that, right? And even if I don't get, from the bottom to the top, but I just get something in the middle every single day, it's potentially life-changing. Like, it really is potentially life-changing.
Absolutely. Awesome. No, that's great. And the awesome setup, I think that definitely something that people can resonate with, because again, it does look complicated at first, but when we start breaking it down to its really basic function and just kind of looking at systematic square peg, square hole pattern based setups, people start to realize, okay, this is something that I can do, right? I don't have to do this eye bleeding analysis, draw a whole bunch of lines and stare at a screen for 5 hours just so I can hope to get into a trade.
Right. Right.
It's definitely a lot simpler than that. Awesome. Good.
Well, and two, again, it just doesn't have to take a lot of time, so you don't have to be subject to this Twitter world that we all live in now, right? We really, not saying that it can't affect you, at any random time. We all know that, but you can position yourself every day if you're very consistent every day at the same time and place to really have some success, if you're patient to do the work. And that was one thing, I'll kind of, end up on this is if you do the work at the beginning, it really does make everything simpler down the road. And I kept fighting because I had 2 jobs. I kept fighting the work, right? And I couldn't understand why I wasn't successful yet, but I kept fighting it and making up excuses. I couldn't do the work. Now, my typical trading day today was literally 4 minutes long.
Nice.
Literally from enter to finish, 4 minutes. Now, that's taken a lot of time and a lot of hours, looking at these and being able to see that setup with these indicators very quick.
Yeah.
But the one thing and I think I even pulled you aside and said, I think I found the secret, and it's back testing. And like 2 years, 3 years later, right?
Right.
Hiram's been saying to the get-go, back testing and money management. I think I finally figured it out after so long. And even after being a coach, it's just like, yeah, this is why we do it. It builds the confidence in what we're doing. It builds the confidence in the system, builds the confidence that you could go back and test just about any financial situation US has been in some time. And does it hold up? Yes or no? Right? And you'll be surprised. It absolutely does.
Absolutely. No, that's powerful. Most definitely. We always use the analogy of building a house. You're not going to build a house without a blueprint, but, you're not going to fly a plane without a checklist, but somehow, we think we're just going to jump for the market. And it's like, but you're right. You do that work in the beginning, and then you get to live on your efforts, and really it's just like these quick, like you said, 4 minutes. Why is it 4 minutes today? Well, because I spent hours on it before perfecting it. Now it's good. And now I can just spend 4 minutes every time I want to jump in the market. It's a quick, place my trade, set stop loss, and take profit, and then go about my business.
Yep.
I like that.
And every day is slightly different. Of course, there's other days it's a full hour, right? But the trick is practicing something so much that you can see it in your sleep. And once you see it, trust it, let it do its thing, and let money management and math take over.
Yeah. I got to ask you this because I know Tim's answer, but I got to ask you this, man. I think anybody that's been doing this for more than a year, at some point in their life, they dreamt about day trading.
Oh, yeah.
You had some kind of day trade dream?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes a nightmare.
Sometimes
I didn't have a stop loss. Right?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Or you freak out because your phone goes off and it's Twitter and you're like, oh, did I have a trade open? Right?
Yep. Oh, man. Good stuff. Awesome. All right. Let's make a transition here. We're going to transition to another segment. I'm about to make these guys in front of us very uncomfortable. Go ahead and pass that host back to me, Jared, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah.
I'm labeled as Day Trade Smart.
Make host.
There we go. All right. Now I'm going to share my screen. Oh. All right. Yes. Boom. All right. So about to make these guys uncomfortable. So now it is time for a segment we ripped off from SNL, Saturday Night Live, so I hope we don't get sued, called Pip Counter Pip. So it's actually point counterpoint, but we're day traders, so it's Pip Counter Pip. All right, so today's topic is going to be breakout patterns, and here to debate, we have our guest. Whoa, I got some feedback. All right. Oh, that's on Tim's right there. Give me a second, Tim, before you unmute. We've got Jared, or rather John Scamming, or rather John S. Camming, and Mike T. Raider. And for the PIP argument in favor of breakout patterns, we have Mr. Camming. And for the counter PIP argument, we have Mr. Raider. So Mr. Camming, we'll start with you. Let me bring up your faces again. I don't know where they went. All right. It's off to you, Mr. Camming.
All right. Okay, I'm here to introduce you to an amazing trade setup called a breakout pattern. These setups occur when there's consolidation or sideways movement in the market, normally on an hour chart. By setting pending trades on either side of the consolidation, you can capitalize on the market breakout in one direction or the other. Then just trail that trade and maximize profits in short. Breakout patterns rock.
Well, like my colleague just said, breakout patterns are a rock. Rock attempting to swim tips, but instead sinks faster than his Titanic ego after crashing into an iceberg of reality, and he realizes that tired shit only plays out profitably in demo. Real live traders know on day one that slippage alone will crush his expected entry like his little heart after I rolled up in my Hummer and took his girl for a ride.
My friend here must be confusing me with his impenetrable rock hard skull. It's a wonder how he managed to lift that boulder from the pillow every morning. He's more like Easter Island Stonehead with permanent stone cold dumbfoundness look on his face as he stares longingly into my distance, watching me stack pips like a boss.
The only thing you're a boss of is conning good-hearted folks out of their hard-earned money. With these empty promises, weak setups, receding hairline, and margin called live accounts that stack to the stratosphere. Fortunately for the masses, you're just a cash-grabbing fly-by-night that will be gone as soon as your existing members checks cash. You should change your name from Breakout to Brokeout, because all it'll do is leave you broke and out of the game.
It's funny you should mention hair.
All right. I think we'll call that one. We'll call that one a draw. All right. We just wanted to shake it up a little bit, make these guys uncomfortable. So I appreciate you guys being good sports about it. All right. So as we wrap up here, guys, as always, we want to extend an offer to our Trader Light program. Now, today is the last day, guys. Matter of fact, last night, we did a master class live on Facebook and through Zoom. And so they had their last option last night. You guys are going to get your last option today to take advantage of this free Trader Light. So unfortunately, if you're watching this on replay tomorrow or after today, we're changing that site. It will be redirected. Now, fortunately, it's only going to be $10, and we're going to donate 100% of that to charity. So our charity partner this month is Feeding America. So we give you the ability to try out our program, right? You're going to get on-demand training videos, continued education webinars, daily trading webinars. You're actually going to get 2 one-on-one sessions with a day trading professional day trader just like Jared, and we'll teach you some trade setups. We'll track that progress. Again, all we want to be able to see is that you're a good student. You show up to appointments, you're teachable, you attempt to do the homework. We don't expect for you to make profit. We don't expect for you to get things right. All we expect for you to do is show up and be teachable. Right. And obviously for you, you want to be able to see that this is something that you agree with as well, that it's something that's going to meet whatever that personal need is for you. For Jared, it was being able to get away from those 2 jobs and just be able to, work the one and then give back to the organization from which he garnered so much. So we absolutely appreciate that, Jared. Thank you. For whatever it is for you, right? For time freedom, for, extra retirement, whatever it might be, right? Can this do that for you, right? Is it valuable? Does it meet a personal need? Can you do it? Is it something you're going to enjoy doing, right? So those are the things that you'll be able to evaluate in this process. You're going to have access to the indicators like Jared was just showing, and like we showed you multiple times on this session. We're going to show you similar trade setups and walk you through them and have you try them out and tweak where we need to and critique. right? And you're going to have access to real-time alerts, and we're going to show you how to use those indicators with those alerts mobile, so that anywhere you are, you're going to be able to take those trades, right? Obviously, we don't want you trading with real money until you get to our next level coaching, right? But here, we just want you to evaluate, and we want to be able to evaluate you. And obviously, if we come to that mutual agreement, you're good, we're good, then we talk about trading our corporate funds and what that looks like, right? So max funding at $100,000, where you're keeping 80% of the profit, you're going live into the market and actually taking steps towards your financial goals, right? Because right now, for some of you guys, all it is just a dream rolling around in your brain, right? You think someday, maybe, someday, hopefully, right? But you're not really making any plans. You don't have any real tangible goals. You're not really doing anything to that end. Perhaps this could be that thing, right? You could say to yourself, I am going to take a step in the right direction and put a plan together so that I can reach that goal. So then that dream becomes a reality. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there broke and dreaming, right? Do something about it. This could be it. The only way you find out if this is it is to try it. And right now, it's free. Tomorrow, it's $10. So just remember that. Right now, you can get in on this for free. Tomorrow, it'll be $10. So definitely jump in on that, guys. And we'll look forward to working with you. For those of you guys that have already signed up, awesome. We appreciate you guys doing that. And obviously, you guys can now see that all the things that we talk about, we're not just all talk. We actually want to show you that we put our money where our mouth is. We actually want to show you that the things that we say, we fulfill on, right? So try us out. We look forward to working with you guys. For now, happy trading, and we will see you guys next week for the